Hello, my name is Daniel Abdul Rahim and I am your host from QA Talks community. Speaking of which, welcome to QA Talks, a community-based group that's mainly focused on testing talks, global speakers, and inspiring events. Speaking of events, welcome to the QA Inspirational Talks 2022. The event is an inspirational and influential video bite from expert speakers, leads, managers, and industry top community leaders sharing their tips and suggestions on testing, automation, and testing insights, RPA, best practices, techniques, strategies, and upcoming trends for 2022, and of course, the future of testing. We are publishing videos in 3 parts. Part 1 will have 6 videos, Part 2 will have 6 videos again, and Part 3 will have 3 videos. We are coming up with 3 parts, so because of that, please subscribe and stay tuned for all of our videos. Now please enjoy our lineup of speakers.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina Thalesingham, Test Engineering Manager at Northwestern Mutual in New York City. I'm so glad to meet you all again this year, that too in 2022. I'm glad to be part of the QA Inspirational Talks. Like you, I'm also excited to hear from my fellow speakers on all the inspirational and motivational talks they're going to give us this year. Today, I'm going to share with you some tips or some things that we can take as challenges and move forward to make this year, 2022, a positive year for us in terms of ourselves and our career. So making challenges, healthy challenges, and putting ourselves through these challenges so that we can be productive and get a really good outcome in terms of our career. One of the main things you might have seen me speak in various different conferences is about full stack testing. And that has become the new normal. And therefore, what we can do is, it's not easy to become a full stack tester overnight or even within weeks, months. But if we put in our dedication and strive to learn a new skill in the testing world, we can get to that in due time. So challenge yourself to learn a skill, a testing skill that you have never learned. It could be challenging things like performance testing or security testing or IoT or anything, accessibility. Could be many things there. And just pick one and dedicate a couple of hours, maybe a fortnight, like maybe 2 weeks, or a couple of hours for a month. It depends on how you have the capacity also, because lives are busy, I do agree. But decide on how you could make that happen and strive to that. There's a lot of blogs out there, there's a lot of material. It is that you have to gain that determination to walk that path. Another suggestion or actually a challenge that I would love to see you all put yourself through is learn a coding language. Anything that you are yearning to, anything that you can get more access to through having, access through the company, maybe the main language that your team uses or anything of that sort. Pick something of that sort and try to eventually learn the testing parts through that as well. So basically things like platforms like Test Automation University will actually help you once you know the language to then take those parts of learning API testing, web testing, mobile, and even continuous integration and desktop testing and so on with those parts. So first of all, you need to know the language. So I'm not just saying just learn it by like, just know the basics, but try to get more hands-on on that, and that will be really helpful for you, not just in terms of getting into the world of full stack testing, but also for you to understand and be able to read the code that you're testing too. And finally, I know 2021, the year we just slipped by, didn't turn out as great as we expected it to be. I think it was the case for many of us. We've gone through so many challenges individually. It could be various different cases and things. We thought 2020 was done, and when the clock struck 12 on 2021, we were like, hey, everything's gonna be great, but it didn't. And hopefully 2022 is going to be something that's going to change a lot of things, and we're going to go back to that real normal that we were in 2019. Maybe it's too optimistic, but let's hope for that. But finally, I just want to leave you with this book, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent. I think this is actually an old book. It's been there, I think, since I've been a kid, or even way longer than that. But to be honest, it's been helpful for me. Where certain things that I've read and learned has actually been able to keep the positive mood in me, and it has been helping me keeping me going. And I know a lot of people who read this and said the same thing. So maybe to lighten yourself up, pick up this book and try to read it and see if that can lighten some positivity in you, and that you can see that 2022 is going to be a positive year for you. Finally, I want to wish you all a blessed New Year. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my QA Tech Talk Inspirational Talk, trying to prepare you guys to what's happening in 2022, give you some best practices on continuous testing. My name is Eran Kinsbrunner. I'm a DevOps Chief Evangelist and author. I'm available on almost all social media channels and on my blog, so feel free to continue this conversation also after my session on the social media channels. Before I give you the best practices, I just want to do a recap on continuous testing, just so everything gets connected later on in my session. So the way I define continuous testing is making sure that you can validate and test in an automated fashion every code changes, every changes made either by a market event, like a new platform was released if you are in the mobile space, or any feature or hotfix that you have implemented. But you want to make sure that you are automating and testing upon each event and code change and running the highest valuable test cases upon these changes. And the main reason for doing that, if you're just looking at the underscored words in my definition, is that you want to automate the high value test cases that can identify business risks that are associated with the code changes. So continuous testing makes sure that you're doing all of these things as a process, and it's not just on functional. You don't see here numbers and you don't see names of the testing types. It's everything, right? Functional, non-functional, security, APIs, integration, unit, accessibility, whatever, performance. So it's everything that you can automate and run that brings you value and mitigates risks. With that, I want to see or give you my take on, and actually a few months back, I spoke in a panel with some great domain experts. And what I took from that conversation is this exact slide. And if you try to connect that slide to the previous definition of continuous testing, you can understand that to do continuous testing at scale and to bring value from your testing, you need to have a good test automation foundation, test automation environment, test automation framework. And these are the few things that we landed on in my recent panel discussion that makes a test automation framework very good. So one of the things that we landed on was the community size. How well is the test automation framework backed by the community? Can you scale through this test automation framework and run upon multiple browsers, multiple mobile devices in parallel within your CI/CD? How can you integrate the framework with other third-party tools that you have within your organization? So the plugins and the extensions. If you want to look at an example, for example, Cypress. Okay, Cypress has multiple plugins for visual testing, for accessibility, for code coverage, and many more. Same goes with Appium and Selenium. So making a decision on a framework needs to take all of these names or strings in this slide under consideration: the community, the scaling, the CI/CD integration, and the other plugins, the ease of use and adoption. It's not just the ease of use for doing the POC and running your first hello world, and then also looking at taking it to the next level from an adoption standpoint and automating higher and more complex test scenarios. How can you reuse your scenarios for next test automation scripts? It's also a pillar of a good automation framework. Ease of maintenance, and how intelligent is the framework from a test reporting and data analysis? Okay, can it self-heal itself? You know, we have Selenium, and then we have Selenium. Selenium is the self-healing Selenium framework version of Selenium, right? So intelligence as part of the framework is also an advantage and a pillar that you want to look for, especially in 2022. But at the end of the day, what makes a good test automation framework is these four words: creation. How can I create high scale, high reliable, high reusable, and highly integrated test cases? Then how can I execute them at scale in parallel, connecting them to clouds? I work at Perfecta, so connecting scripts into the cloud, it's what I do almost every day. And analysis, the intelligence and the reporting, so you can eliminate, remove flakiness and noise from your scripts, also is a very important pillar. In addition to the frameworks and the continuous testing, you also need to take into account, especially in 2022, things that might disrupt your test automation activities and your product quality. New frameworks such as Flutter that are invading the space, and Playwright for the web space. Foldables, Android 12, iOS 15, new types of applications such as progressive webs are coming to disrupt our digital landscape. You need to be aware of them. You need to also make sure that you are making room and time in your pipeline to accommodate all of these disruptions, because they are not really waiting for you, and you are just using the frameworks, the platforms to build and mature your quality. But you need to be aware to these external market trends, PWA, Android 12, as I mentioned, etc., which are impacting and going to impact your quality. Last but not least is something that I think is underestimated and needs to get an equal place in the table within the CI/CD and the continuous testing. And these are the non-functional areas of testing. And these are the things that ensure end user experience and also matches the new digital reality. And this is making sure that all the web and mobile applications are accessible, fully secured, and performing at all times across all different networks, environments, and different screen sizes and permutations. So you need to make sure, as we are ramping up 2021 and looking at 2022, that A, you can build on a good, solid test automation frameworks. B, you are taking under consideration the new impacts and trends that are coming into the marketplace. And C, also not less important, make sure that you are adopting the non-functional growing trends of testing and try to shift them left into your CI/CD pipeline, performance, security, and accessibility on top of functional API and integration that everyone continuously using. With that, I'd like to close my tech talk, inspirational talk, and thank you for being with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to approach me. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Mike Harris. I'm the lone tester at Geckoboard. and I'm the Programme Secretary at the British Computer Society, a specialist interest group in software testing. And I'm going to speak to you about why quality is free. My talk is based on the work of Philip B. Crosby. He was a Director of Quality at ITT, and he's best known for this book, Quality is Free. And he's also known for his tool or idea, the cost of quality, and for his program to improve quality, which he called Zero Defects. I'm going to speak about the cost of quality. Sometimes people talk as if improving quality will cost the company money, but the cost of quality shows us that quality is free. Philip Crosby worked in manufacturing, and he worked out there was a cost of quality with 14 ingredients, each of which represents the expense of non-conformance. Non-conformance is how Crosby defined quality. He said that if there was scrap, it was a cost of quality. We produced something, it was no good, it had to be thrown away, that's scrap. Rework was a cost of quality. If we produced something and had to rework it before it could go to the customer, that rework was cost of quality. Warranty was a cost of quality. If you produce something and people claimed on warranty because it was not good enough, that's a cost of quality. Customer service was a cost of quality. If you made something, it wasn't good enough and they complained to customer service, it cost your customer service department. In the way ITT worked in manufacturing at that time, it was if a plant was producing poor quality work, they'd bring in additional inspection labour, and that cost the company money. And if there was poor quality, maybe you need to make engineering changes to the plants, and again, this cost the company money. Purchase order changes could cost the company money as well if people cancelled their orders due to poor quality. If there's poor quality on the plant, then maybe you need to make software corrections to some of the engineering plant. That costs the company money. If there's poor quality out there, then you can get a bad reputation, and actually your consumer affairs department may well be having to deal with newspaper articles about poor quality from your work. This actually costs the company money. Audit department may also become interested if a particular part of the company is producing bad quality work, and this can cost the audit department money. You go again the way ITT worked. If there was poor quality in a particular area, they could bring in quality control labour, and this could cost the company money. And if you're producing poor quality work, then it's quite possible that you need to do acceptance testing at the end of the line, and so do your customers, and that costs the company money. These all ingredients, the cost of quality, show how poor quality costs our businesses. If you cut these costs by improving quality, you will cut the company's costs and so increase the company profits. And in that way, improving quality doesn't cost the company money, but the cost of quality is free. But that was in manufacturing then. How would it work with software development now? Some of the items of the cost of quality can be carried forward to software development. Scrap can be carried forward. Most teams I work with have got unfinished work in their repos. That's scrap. That's cost. Every team I've worked with has had to fix bugs. Fixing a bug is rework because the first time you release the product, it wasn't good enough, and you've got to rework it by fixing a bug. That's a cost. If you release software with bugs in it, then your customer service department gets additional work from people talking to them about it. That's a cost of quality. Engineering change still happens as well, because sometimes we have to refactor our code due to quality issues, and that's a cost of quality. Purchase order changes still affect us as well, because we now call that customer churn, and customers do churn if there is poor quality. And today I would say there's an additional item of quality, which is fixing incidents in production. This is really expensive, and it's a cost of quality. Now, if you evaluate all these items for your team, you can find that what the costs are for your team. In manufacturing, if you improve your quality, you'll cut your company's costs. But probably today, it is best to define the cost of quality as time, mostly development time. And if you improve your quality, instead of your development time being spent on the ingredients of the cost of quality, such as rework, you can save company time and be able to release more new features instead of fixing bugs. And in that way, quality is free. So thank you very much. If you've got any questions, please post them to me on Twitter. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Niranjan. I want to take the opportunity to look back on year 2021. Last year that turns out much differently than anyone could have imagined. Pandemic brought the world to a halt and forced us to keep our distance from friends, family and one another. Everyone faced the challenges in many ways. However, we showed that how strong we are as a human. I will share my 2 cents on upcoming trends in 2022 and future of testing. If you look at the post-pandemic world, I am seeing the increased attention being given to a quality assurance as a whole. If you look QA in Agile and DevOps, the adoption of the Agile and DevOps in a QA and testing will certainly nurture in 2022. Now world is coming out from a lockdown. I see the sense of urgency in innovation. So as a QA, we need to level up our skills and collaboration between team that needs to be improved. Test automation, nowadays organization is demanding for intelligent test automation. So they want to automate faster with a greater quality and better approach. So it turns out that we need intelligence tools and automation skill resources. If I'll talk about AI ML in QA, it looks like AI and ML in quality engineering is not yet matured. There is still a long way to go. However, based on my experience, it looks like test design and test strategy will play a very critical role in 2022. Security and accessibility testing is a really great asset to have as a QA. So with the great remote connectivity across the world, we need to have a greater security and accessibility testing workforce to come to cope up with the upcoming work in 2022. So overall, we as a QA need to focus on customer experience and business objective with efficiency and speed. So that's all. So I would like to thank you Vinayak and QA Inspirational Talk team to have this wonderful great initiative. Thank you for considering me. I wish you and your family all a happy holiday season. Thank you.
I've been working in the testing domain for 18 years now across multiple roles ranging from test engineer, automation architect and test leadership. I currently head quality engineering for TransUnion Africa, where I'm responsible for driving the quality mindset across agile teams. In the agile world where software is being developed at a rapid pace, there also is a need for testing to provide fast feedback on the development lifecycle. The role of testers within a team has also evolved from a more independent outside-in approach to an inclusive and inside-out perspective. In my talk role of Chief Impact Analyzer in Agile, I bring out the effectiveness of testing and testers within Agile and more specifically the Scrum framework. Every ceremony of the Scrum framework requires the deep involvement of a skilled tester to help them identify risk, minimize the probability of that risk to percolate into higher environments. It also helps to accelerate the pace of moving features to production. The role of a tester typically begins much earlier in the project, whereby they involve with the product owner and flesh out requirements in the form of a user story, with the tester ensuring that the user stories are in fact testable requirements. The first and most significant ceremony in the Scrum framework is the backlog grooming, where the testers play the role of a chief impact analyzer for the agile team. A tester needs to guide the team towards understanding end-to-end impact of the change that would be required to fulfill the user story that is being groomed. The next phase, which is sprint planning, is where a tester is involved with the team to help them break down stories into smaller tasks and ensure tasks are time boxed within the sprint. This is also the phase where testers estimate the time required to complete testing tasks, and this directly correlates with the level of testing that the story warrants for. As the sprint starts, testers constantly course correct the team by participating in the daily stand-ups and ensuring that the team on a daily basis are steered towards the sprint goal. Testers also engage with developers in pair programming to shift left the testing and ensure that defects are fixed earlier in the sprint. They also take key decisions on what to automate and when automation can and cannot add value to the team. Testers typically do a break-even analysis on the automation and only pick up stories or requirements to automate that can add value to the team. Sprint reviews are typically a tester's forte, as they are the right people to bridge the technical implementation developed by the team into understandable functional requirements for business stakeholders. They often are the ones who are able to understand the technical language of the Scrum development team and translate them into a business language which end users and stakeholders understand, for them to term a story done. And during this process, the tester actually plays a bridge between the Scrum team and the project stakeholders. The last ceremony in Scrum is sprint retrospective, and here the team discusses on what went well in the sprint and what did not go well. Testers can provide objective feedback on the team's capability to deliver defect-free software to their end users. This could also be the ceremony where, as testers, we could coach the Scrum team to triage root causes of issues and ensure that the remediation of these root causes are appropriately fixed in the upcoming sprint. Finally, testing should not be an isolated afterthought done as part of the definition of done. The more inclusive testing becomes within the sprint team and the agile process, the higher is the probability of the team to achieve its goals. Thank you for this opportunity and looking forward.
Today's software is complex. Today's tech is smarter. It takes automated checks and demands smarter QA to deliver great code. A creative take on this wordsmith as a three-part poem. Part 1. It all started with programming, the joy of making the invisible. Seeing it work was exciting, but fixing issues frustrating. I wrote a lot of code and system drastically slowed. When I looked at code profile, it was filled with nasty bile. Positive I was, not validating inputs, and system spewed bad outputs. Devious data beyond boundary set me up in a real quandary. The system grew, resources blew, unable to scale, code became pale. Tightened by news, it dumped core, spilling everything, causing a furor. I code hard, I code smart, but my unit test is a fart. Saddled with technical debt, I know seriously shift left. My mindset now reversed, I think what can go wrong first. Many filters I set up to screen so that my code is sparkling clean. Now I know to get code right, it is important to go left. Hence, I do smart dev test. Part 2. As time went by, the world changed. Development became real fast, with customers expecting the very best. So we shifted to being very agile, with the intent of staying versatile. With extreme focus on velocity, outcome turned out to be a monstrosity. It was only after each retrospective we discovered missed perspectives. No amount of focus and coverage can elevate code that is average. Just testing parts that are happy is a sure shot recipe for crappy. That bugs will be quashed by automation can only result in extreme frustration. For after all, test cases that are impotent can only make the code become insolvent. It's not just stand-ups and smoke, it's handling flux with masterstroke. It's having a brilliant agile mindset, being lean, coding clean with no tech debt. After many years, I have now realized, code in the small, but see the whole. Be sensitive to prevent, stay sharp to detect. Refactor continuously, simply to perfect. Be still to move fast, speed without stress. Think better and do less, absolutely no regress. Part 3. Then I branched out to testing, for it seemed more challenging. The joy of finding the hidden to delivering clean, shiny code. Half my career spent on right to ensure quality of left. Now as I age, I ask myself, why did I choose to test? For the fun of purgation or the joy of destruction? For seeking the perfect or stimulating the intellect to become infallible by challenging the invisible? All I know is that it's a brilliant activity, a journey of exploration, a scientific approach to filtration. All I know is that it is a brilliant activity. The cadence of switching views puts me in a state of trance as I peruse. All I know is that it's a brilliant activity. It gets me into a state of flow as I carefully traverse paths on a tiptoe. As I mature, I see testing as a hand that protects users, as a head that delivers business value, as a soul that is central to brilliant systems. As I mature, I see testing beyond validation, as a journey into the world of problem solving, as an intellectual exploration of things interesting, as a guide to a life of beauty and perfection. Now you know why I test. A quest to be the best, to live life absolutely blessed. Smart QA is what I practice, to do less and accomplish more. Smart QA is what I practice, to be in a flow and to do brilliant work. Summarizing, to get code right, go left, do smart dev test. To be agile, be still to move fast. To accomplish more, think better and do less. Have a great 2022. Do smart dev testing and a smarter QA.